To rise like a phoenix from the ashes means to emerge from a catastrophe stronger, smarter, and more powerful. That phoenix looks to be Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama suffering a devastating blow in 2019 when monster storm Dorian barreled down on its shores, packing winds as high as 185 miles per hour and sitting over the island for a whopping 72 hours before moving on. The island never seems to recuperate, with hopes continuously dashed after failed promises of economic relief. But just recently, Lucayan Renewing Holdings Limited agreed to the sale of the entire hotel property to Electra America Hospitality Group. Really big news. Right behind that, Carnival Cruise Lines announced that it is building a new cruise port in cooperation with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government, a $200 million investment. Our discussion tonight, Rise of the Phoenix, Grand Bahama is on the move. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. See you on the other side of this break. So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference, the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Welcome back. Our guest tonight is none other than the Minister of Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, who joins us as we discuss Rise of the Phoenix. Grand Bahama is on the move. Minister, welcome to On the Record.
Thank you so much, Jerome, for having me. And I want to say good evening, Bahamas, and in particular, the beautiful people of Pine Ridge and Grand Bahama Island.
Listen, we are so happy to have you. And I have to say to my guests, we were planning to do this show in Grand Bahama, but I just want you to know that invitation still stands.
Absolutely, absolutely, we receive you any day.
So we, as I said, we were hoping to come to Grand Bahama to talk about some of the developments. And then last week, all of this happened.
Everything happened.
We had the signing of the agreement for the sale of the Grand Lucayan. So we'll start with that. We also had the groundbreaking for the Carnival project there as well. But let's start with the Grand Lucayan. We have been there in the past. There have been movements, even with the past administration, to find a buyer for this hotel. We know the story of the hotel, heavily damaged, and Hurricane Matthew never really reopened properly. And then a move to purchase the hotel. That didn't happen. But let's talk about where we are right now and what this particular move means for the government and the people of Grand Bahama.
It means so much to the people of Grand Bahama, to the government, of course. We're making things happen. The Grand Lucayan, it means a lot to the community of Grand Bahama because it holds such a place. It's been a part of I would say, the story of Grand Bahama. It's the main hotel property on the island, and so when it closed and when things happened, really the economy around it, and for the Grand Bahama Island in particular, it just deteriorates.
Right.
And so what we've been able to accomplish during the past, I would say, 8 months in office has been a breath of fresh air for the people of Grand Bahama Island. As you mentioned earlier, the property went through so many different obstacles, really. It's been impacted by Hurricane Matthew before Dorian, and then there was the deal that was signed onto by the previous administration. We were able to, first of all, decouple that arrangement that was done because it tied into the port development, and there were all sorts of other conditions that were applied to the sale of the property. And so the Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, and I, along with the Lucayan Renewal Holdings Board, was able to have this deal that's now on the table. It is one where, of course, we indicated we wanted not just a partner who had a vision for the property, but also they had to, of course, be financially stable to be able to make their vision happen. And also they had to have a heart for the community. And for me, that is one of the most important things because, as you are aware, Grand Bahamians have been going through it all and for a very long time. And so we have a partner that is prepared to actually be involved and be socially responsible in what they're doing with the property and for the people of the island.
You described conditions associated with the previous deal under the previous administration. What kinds of conditions are you able to say? What kinds of things were in that deal that made it not the right deal for this hotel and this island?
What was in that deal was really the government paying for the property all over again. I think that's what it boiled down to with the $33 million loan that the previous purchaser wanted, from the government, and also another $100 million commitment for the same property that we were selling to the developer. And so I think that, of course, that was not the right deal. The board at that time indicated that it was not a good deal for the people, for the taxpayers. And so we're extremely, happy that we are able to actually end that deal. And today we have this deal, and we are really comfortable with it. The board is comfortable with it, and we believe that it's the beginning of a wonderful opportunity for Grand Bahamians.
Are we able to say at this point what the overall bill is to the Bahamian people from all of this?
It's still counting, I would say, but as of September, it was about $150 million, September of last year. And so, of course, the property is still opened, and there's still recurring expenses every month in the tune of, up to $1.5 million. And so it's still going. And so until it's fully, sold, then we will continue to incur expenses.
Now, when you talk about a hotel, an anchor property, as what it is described as, what does an anchor property do for an island like Grand Bahama? An island that is split in terms of its economic topography, if I could say that, because on one side you've got the industrial side, but there's still a large percentage of the economy that's tied to tourism. So when you have an anchor property like this, what does this mean?
The anchor property means everything. It holds so many of the rooms. And so when we speak to Grand Bahama, for example, being the events and entertainment destination or capital of the Bahamas, we need the room nights for that as well. And so what it does, even though where Grand Lucayan is positioned, it's positioned really in the heart of the tourism, I would say, center for the island. So you have the Port Lucayan Marketplace that's directly opposite it, with many of the Bahamian store owners, where the straw vendors are located, where the main marina is located. And so really it's an ecosystem. And so the property really, once it's fully running, and we're not just talking about one property, we're talking about that place used to actually be 3 separate properties.
Sure.
And with this new arrangement, it will become 3 separate properties that are branded 4 to 5
So 3 separate
stars.
brands.
3 separate brands.
Operating on there.
Yes.
What will be the residual around that hotel? Because there are other things that have come into existence as a result of that property. And how will they be affected? Even other hotels that have come up around that property.
Yeah, so you have, of course, you have the Pelican Bay that's right next door.
I just want to say shameless plug. I love Pelican Bay. I just
Yes,
want you
we
to
love
know
we
I
love Pelican Bay as well.
me some Pelican
we
Bay.
do,
Okay.
we do, we love it all. But you also have the golf course. You know, that's right there. Grand Bahama used to be home for, to some of the finest golf experiences, and many world-class events was held on Grand Bahama Island. So we have that. But also, I look at it as the place where events happened. So you have the conference center that's there. That's the main conference center really on the island, the Grand Lucayan meeting space. But I have always seen it as a place where you can have executive retreats, executive education, and the developer, the purchaser has agreed to have these amphitheater-style facilities that allows this to happen. And so because we have positioned Grand Bahama not just as the home of maritime and logistics, the home of innovation, but also the home of events and entertainment, I believe that that facility will be used to have a lot of these events that we want to have.
I know the Lucayan Marketplace is tied to this hotel as well, and that facility has struggled under the weight of the hotel closure, even under the weight of a slowed economy. What can those merchants and business owners in there look forward to?
Those business owners can look to a revitalized Port Lucayan Marketplace. Right now, we've been working with the vendors that are there now. We've been creating this new Port Lucayan experience. That's the Ministry for Grand Bahama in conjunction with the Ministry of Tourism. We've even extended relief to some of the vendors in the marketplace, and it's because things have been so slow. Things have been so bad as a result of Dorian and then the pandemic. And so we've been working with them. But with the sale of the property, the selection of the buyer for the sale of the property, and also with the plans for the construction, because with that you will have so much stuff and so much buzz going on at the time that I believe that our vendors will benefit also at the same time. But we're working to have cruise passengers that actually come into the Port Lucayan Marketplace that do not come there right now. So we've been, just aggressive, coming up with solutions for the entire experience in the Port Lucayan Marketplace area.
Now, the signing last week indicated, as you said, the selection of the buyer.
Right.
There is still a process.
Yes.
60-day due diligence.
Yes.
With the closing no later than 120 days from now. Explain to us what happens during this period. Does the government investigate the company? Is there any chance that this deal could fall through?
I mean, I always say there's a chance for anything, right? But I will tell you, the government has already done its investigations. It's now with the purchaser to, of course, there are things that you're going to now look at in terms of the in-depth analysis, of the property. You're coming up with your timelines that, you can now day by day check, the progress of what you want to do. And so I think there's just those things that happen in closing. And it happens with all transactions and real estate transaction, and that's what this is. And so I don't really expect anything to go wrong. What I do expect to happen is in the process of the closing, you're going to see some community initiatives going on. You're going to see, because the purchaser has agreed to a $5 million social responsibility commitment to the new unit that I formed in the Ministry for Grand Bahama called CoLab, Partnerships for Development. And that CoLab is a is a unit that came about based on a mandate from the Prime Minister that mandated the Ministry for Grand Bahama to partner with NGOs, government agencies, businesses, and the community at large to assist with the basic needs of residents and for the growth and development of Grand Bahama Island. And so with that, we are working with this developer along with the Tourism Development Corporation to be able to empower some of our people for touristic product development. That's going to not just assist and empower our people in general, but it's also going to assist this property because now we're introducing new tourism product. We're improving we're improving the touristic experience, where instead of having these products that are made anywhere, they're made in the Bahamas. And so this is what this fund is going to be used for, and I think the people in the community are really excited about it.
Creating an authentic experience.
And not just that, what they're also doing, they are also, the furniture that from the property will be given to the people throughout Grand Bahama Island who have
as they move into renovations,
who have been devastated from Dorian.
That is a very excellent initiative.
Yes.
Very much needed, I'm sure. We'll talk a little bit more about the renovation and construction phase and what we expect to happen there. Minister, we have a lot more to talk about. We are going to take our first break in the show. We will be back with more On the Record right after this. So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
At the conference,
the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Rise of the Phoenix, Grand Bahama is on the move is our topic tonight, and our guest is the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honourable Ginger Moxie. Welcome back to our viewers. Minister, as we went into the break, we were talking about the selection of the buyer for the Grand Lucayan. According to the Deputy Prime Minister, Electra America Hospitality Group has committed to an estimated $300 million renovation and construction plan to be rebuilt or to rebuild the Grand Lucayan into an environmentally sustainable luxury resort. Let's talk about those renovations. What does it mean to be an environmentally sustainable resort? And will Bahamian contractors and construction workers be a part of this grand renovation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we're talking about 2,000 workers during the construction phase, and it will be done by Bahamian contractors. When we talk about environmentally sustainable, they're going to use best practices, and they've already started to engage with the design process and all that. I'm really excited about what this means for Grand Bahamian contractors, because everyone they've been experiencing so much loss over the years, so much work that's not been there, and now they are finally going to be involved. These construction workers who have not held sustainable jobs for a long time, they're going to have that as well. And then after that, you have the 1,000 permanent jobs that are going to come on stream. And so we're looking forward to all of this, and we're looking to hopefully get started pretty soon, because again, there is the closing process, but in the interim, we'll still be working with the group to do things in the community.
Help the audience to understand what 2,000 construction jobs and 1,000 permanent jobs, what those mean for a community like Grand Bahama. Notice I'm saying Grand Bahama, not just Freeport, because I think sometimes we get a little confused.
Yes. Listen, you know, the unemployment rate, you know, it got pretty high because, again, we were the island that went through, and along with Abaco, we went through Dorian. But right after that, we went through the pandemic, and we, I think, were the ones that were locked down for about, 2 months straight. So we hadn't recovered. And so, you know, that people have just gone for such a long time without income that when I introduce programs like Beautiful Grand Bahama and have people, you know, who haven't worked so long making $250 a week, it sounds like a little, but it means so much to people who haven't worked in such a long time.
My mother used to say, if
Listen,
you were earning $1, that's $1 you didn't have.
$1 you didn't have. And so right now, people are so hopeful. You know, you can feel the change in the atmosphere. You know, everyone, people are excited. They're excited because they finally see some help along the way.
Last week, it was a busy time for us even covering news in Grand Bahama because you had the news of the Grand Lucayan, and then the following day, Carnival Cruise was there breaking ground for this project that they are about to begin. Carnival Cruise Lines says as one of the busiest destinations in the region, the Bahamas has always been extremely important to the company. With the recent surge in bookings, the cruise line has experienced. Carnival has found the right time to make a significant $200 million investment in the Bahamas, in Grand Bahama in particular.
Yes.
Let's talk about this port, when it opens, where it will be, and what will it mean for tourism on Grand Bahama.
It totally changes the landscape of tourism on Grand Bahama. We're talking about 1 million cruise passengers per year in one location. And so Grand Bahama we've never seen anything like that before. It means so much for Bahamian vendors, you know, Bahamian artists, Bahamians in general, Grand Bahamians in general, because we are, this cruise port that's being created, all of the concessions will go to Bahamian vendors, Bahamians. And so outside of the walls of the cruise port, we're also looking at how do we improve the tourism product in general. And Carnival is with us on that as well. And so this is really going to impact the island in such a tremendous way, not just within the walls of the cruise port, but for those taxi drivers that are outside the cruise port, and it will trickle down into all of the other areas on the island. And so it's a huge deal for Grand Bahama Island, and it's a huge deal for the people in the community.
And, you know, when you talk about a cruise ship port, first of all, location. Help us to understand where the location is.
The location is in East Grand Bahama. It's in an area that is referred to as Sharp Rock. So it's east of the northern campus of the University of the Bahamas that was damaged during Dorian. But it's in an area that, you know, this virgin, pristine land. And it is, so it's a part of East Grand Bahama, East Lucaya. But it is just such a when we talk about Grand Bahama Island, we talk about we have the best of both worlds. We talk about having the eastern and the western end of the islands. When you're on it, it seems like you're on this island alone. And you're
very much a family island.
Very much a family island. And then when you go into the city, you have that experience with all the amenities. But the eastern end of the island, we believe, holds, you know, the future for development, because it has an abundance of land. And it also, it just carries so much potential for future development.
Now, you mentioned the site of the port. It's in East Grand Bahama. I know from experience like that, for me and for many other, really is an environmentalist dream You drive out there and you're in a wilderness almost, and the area is so pristine. You're talking about putting now a big cruise ship port there. What kind of measures are you putting in place to ensure that the environmental integrity is protected?
And I would say that that's top priority with this administration and with the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. There's always the priority of the environment. Of course,
you're going to have to dredge and do some things for these ships to come in, right?
And
so
then
the
you're going to
seabeds and
the seabed. You're going to have to protect what we have there. And so we've been liaising for, I would say for years actually, with Carnival Cruise Lines through the Ministry of Environment and, like I mentioned, the Department of Environmental, what we call DEP, really ensuring that the environment is protected. The seabed is protected. And so I'm pleased to say that those discussions have been had, the approvals have been granted because we believe that it is safe for us to ensure that our environment is protected.
Now you talked about this port, but we understand that there is another project that Carnival has planned for Grand Bahama with the construction of the dry docks.
Okay, so that would be the Grand Bahama Shipyard. And Carnival Cruise Line is a partner with Royal Caribbean Cruise Line on the Grand Bahama Shipyard. There are 2 dry docks planned. You would recall that prior to, I would say, Dorian or right after Dorian, there was an accident at the shipyard where a dry dock was lost. And so there's the replacement of the dry dock, but then there's also another dry dock. So it's a huge investment and reinvestment into Grand Bahama Island. What we are looking forward to from a government standpoint is how many of our young Bahamians are going to be empowered along the way. There was a shipyard apprenticeship program that was held many years ago during the former PLP administration. I think it's 2012, 2017 administration, where about 200 young people had the opportunity to really train with the shipyard and be able to,
that's a highly skilled job.
It's a highly skilled job, but we can do it. Bahamians can do it.
You would think we would be benefiting from this more.
Exactly, and so we have to continue to push for this to happen. We have to ensure that when developments happen, that Bahamians are given the opportunity to rise with them, and so that's our focus.
We've talked about 2 major developments: the Grand Lucayan, well, I guess 3 at this point, the Carnival Port, and now the extension of the dry docks.
And there's so many more, right?
But what is the government doing to ensure that Bahamians are benefiting? We've talked about the jobs. That's important. People have to get back to work. But we always want our people to have more than just a job and earn a wage.
Absolutely.
So what is happening to ensure that Bahamians, young Bahamians, can benefit from the residual, from the other things that are tied to these projects, not just going to work?
I am right with you. And one of the priorities of this administration is empowering Bahamians. That's one thing that we've spoken of throughout the entire campaign and that we are sticking to. So every time any development happens, we are asking what is in it for Bahamians, what is in it that allows us to not just have a job, but to be able to benefit with some entrepreneurial opportunity from it. And so, like I mentioned with the Carnival Cruise Lines, that is going to happen. All of the concession opportunities are going to be for Bahamians. And then along the way, I am focused on community-based tourism. So I keep saying to our people, get ready. Pull out those business plans, because you are going to have opportunities that you have never even thought about. You know, when people come to a destination, they're coming to experience us, our culture. You know, they want to be immersed in our experience, the way we live. And so I'm saying to us, let's create that experience that they want to see. And so again, we have a farmers market that's downtown, and we only have a few of the stalls open. We have created an Empower Grand Bahama grant program that allows these vendors to open back up because a lot of them were their booths were destroyed from Dorian, the product lost and all that. But we want them open. We want them to be open with Bahamian products, not the T-shirt purchased in China and all that, and Indonesia. We want it to be authentic. We want that music that's us, so that the cruise passengers and the cruise lines would want to actually bring the guests to us. We have the Grand Bahama Arts and Crafts Center that we want to turn into a true experience. It's just there right now, not being utilized. And so we're creating vendor opportunities there. We're creating vendor opportunities at something we're creating called the Hawksbill Cultural Village. There are opportunities for our people. Then we have the Fishing Hole Road Bridge, where we're creating vendor opportunities. My thing is this: Grand Bahama's population isn't that huge, right? And so there's an opportunity, while we are creating the jobs, to create so many meaningful entrepreneurial opportunities once we can provide the support that our people need. Because guess what? The visitors will be coming. Mm-hmm. We know that the visitors will come, and so our thing is, how do we create the experiences that will get them to go to your experience? And so that's what we're working on.
Sounds good. A lot of good things on the way, Minister. We have lots more to talk about. We've talked about the tourism aspect. We're going to talk about small home repairs, other aspects of the economy. Don't go away. You're watching On the Record. We're talking all things Grand Bahama, one of my favorite subjects. We'll be back right after this. So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
At the conference,
the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Paul Masson said almost a century ago, "We'll sell no wine before it's time." Grand Bahama, it's time to sell our wine. My name is Keith Roll, a businessman in Freeport, Grand Bahama. With the recent announcements of the sale of the Grand Lucayan property, groundbreaking at the Carnival Cruise Port, and great news and plans about a new airport for Freeport, Grand Bahama, it's all a breath of fresh air.
Jesus.
Welcome back. Keith Roll, a businessman out of Grand Bahama, talking about how pleased he is with all of the developments that have been announced and some of the plans on the drawing board. I think you mentioned it earlier, but is that a general sentiment on the island?
It's a general sentiment, yes. And I get a little bit emotional about it because, people have been going through it, businesses, have been going through it, and we stuck in there. In there. We've had some highs over the years, but we've had a lot of lows. And so last week was a big week for Grand Bahama, and the people, the buzz is there.
I think you could feel the excitement resonating all the way in now. So and you're so true, we remind people that Freeport was the magic city. And I'm my age now. In the 80s, 90s. It was great things came out of Grand Bahama. I remind people that we were talking about it, that the International Bazaar used to advertise on ZNS in Nassau, on local. That's how I knew about the International Bazaar. It was such an amazing place, and that light has dimmed for so long.
The light has dimmed for a long time now. I think it was about 17 years ago that the Royal Oasis property was closed. After, I'm not sure which hurricane at the time, but it was closed, and nothing has happened there since. And it really caused, I would say, the decline in the bazaar as well. Also the road closure that happened. But guess what? Things are happening. Things are happening for that area. Things are happening because we're working to reopen that road. Things are happening because we have a plan for that area that has even those, our sisters and brothers in the South, I would say, the rest of the Caribbean, who are interested in what we're talking about. And so we also have the cruise lines, because one of the things with the cruise lines, the Deputy Prime Minister and I would have met with these executives months ago, and the product, the tourism product, is one of the things that is always, referred to as the reason we don't have the cruise calls that we want. And so, again, I mentioned all the other community-based tourism experiences that we'll develop, but that area is a part of it, and we have exciting plans for there.
Listen, I knew as a kid coming to the, I talk my age again, you call it the Royal Oasis, but we know it as the Bahamas Princess.
Yes.
So let's move the discussion forward a little bit. Pardon me. The revolutionized small home repair program was officially launched on Grand Bahama on May 4th by the Minister of State for Social Services and Urban Development, the Honorable Lisa Ramming. This comes at a time when many homes are still in disrepair from Hurricane Dorian. Tell us a little bit about this program. How is it going to work? Who will benefit? Who qualifies?
Well, the program, again, hats off to the Minister of State in Social Services and Urban Development, along with the Minister who is the Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini. So he's from Grand Bahama Island. But that program is long overdue. So you have people that still have the water pouring in on them since Dorian, and people that are still living in mold, and so this right here is so long overdue. There's a lot of work that needed to be done, but as the minister has indicated, we will help the people on the island. I know that the chairman of the Urban Renewal Commission, Stephen Dean, he was there along with the Minister of State, and basically met with Urban Renewal there to get the ball rolling. I know that we have committed, I think it's a phased approach to it. We've committed to getting those that have, many had applied previously and nothing had been done. So they're addressing those. They're also addressing some that are very vulnerable. There are a lot of people that have challenges. There are a lot of elderly people that need it now, and so they've begun the process of that. But my ministry, of course, will work closely with them, because the Ministry for Grand Bahama is a ministry that works with all ministry. So we coordinate a lot of stuff. We also try to find creative ways to get things done, because sometimes, the focus is not necessarily on Grand Bahama Island, because ministries have the entire Commonwealth to deal with.
And let's face it, Nassau people are selfish. I say it all the time. We believe the whole Bahamas revolves around Nassau. We selfish, we want everything for ourselves.
Listen, but we exist. We're here too. And the family islands would say the same, right? But you know what? I am so happy to have a prime minister who, he's not just a compassionate leader, but he's also a Family Island
He's a
MP.
Family Island man.
You know, we have a Deputy Prime Minister also, a Family Island MP. We have a Minister of Family Island Affairs who's a Family Island MP. And so I think we're Family Islands are getting the attention that they deserve. And Grand Bahama, as you can see, is getting the attention it deserves. We've been through it all, and finally, you know, it's Grand Bahama's time.
These small home repairs that you spoke of, are they being done too by Grand Bahamian contractors and construction workers?
Absolutely.
And are businesses on the island providing supplies?
Absolutely. That is the only way to go. Absolutely. The thing about it is, you know, again, we've been hurting so long, so when the opportunity presents itself, we have to ensure that it remains local. It has to be.
Good to know. I know that this doesn't fall to you directly, but the island and the people on the island are still in need of so much. You talk about the fact that people are living in conditions where the water still pours in when it rains. Here we are coming now into the hurricane season, once again, just a few weeks away. What kind of social assistance is still being provided to the island for the people? And we're talking now almost going to 3 years post-Dorian.
Again, Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, there are programs, I believe, that are happening right now. With my ministry, I'm all about the people, so I'm all about how do we bring relief. So I've identified certain situations that's been happening. I've seen individuals living in buildings and it's happening today. It's a challenge, but they're living in these buildings that should be demolished. One of the buildings that's being demolished, we're in the process of dealing with that. There are about 8 families in there. And so I have identified some homes that were owned by the police. There are about 13 homes in an area called Trip Circle. And we have partnered with the community, businesses and all that, to really work to get these homes restored so that families can move into them for a 6-month period. And then while we work with other corporate partners to employ them, to assist with their kids going to school, to help, to provide an opportunity that's really holistic. It's not just about, a social service type benefit, but how do we transform lives? And so we have this program in place, and then once we got this family on their feet, then another set of family comes in and it happens again. But we're working with NGOs, we're working with other businesses, we're coming together to solve issues. The reason that the unit CoLab, Partnerships for Development, was formed.
Sounds like a lot of good work going on.
Yeah.
A lot of good work.
Yeah.
I hold into that. I got to come to Grand Bahama.
And don't forget downtown.
Yes.
Downtown is supposed to come alive. You have University of Bahamas moving downtown.
Hold on, I'm sick of it.
We have stuff.
My producer could be yelling at me in 1 minute. We're going to take our final break in the show and return with more On the Record right after this. So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
At the conference,
the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Hi, my name is Lisa Turnquest, and I am and always have been a very proud Grand Bahamian. The announcements about the future projects that are slated for Grand Bahama are certainly exciting, and exciting for all Grand Bahamians because they will provide countless opportunities outside of the tourism sector for Grand Bahamians to partake of. I hope that Grand Bahamians will step up to the challenge step up and be creative with bright and innovative ideas, as we are known for, and just make our island beautiful once again and bring happy back to Grand Bahama.
That was Insurance Executive Lisa Turnquest chiming in on the new developments for the island of Grand Bahama. Our discussion tonight, Rise of the Phoenix, Grand Bahama is on the move. I have to say this before I go any further. You know, Grand Bahama is known for some wonderful things, but Grand Bahama is also known for having some of the most beautiful women in the Bahamas.
Oh, wow.
Lisa's a former Miss Commonwealth
right.
Bahamas. I won't say with you. I don't want to tell her age, and then she'll be calling me after the show, rowing me. But, you know, she raised a very good point. Being ready for the opportunities, and we touched on it. So we've talked about the Grand Lucayan deal, the Carnival Cruise Lines deal. We've talked about the dry dock facility, some other things that are happening in the pipeline. What should Grand Bahamians be doing now to prepare themselves for these opportunities?
Grand Bahamians, there are those that want to enter the job market, and so of course they should be working on, you know, improving their skills, getting ready for all of the opportunities that are going to exist that are vast. But of course there are all these entrepreneurial opportunities that are going to be available, and so one of the things we are going to assist as well as a government. So we have already partnered with Carnival Cruise Lines, where we're going to have these community engagement business workshops to say what's on the horizon, the opportunities that are available. So we're going to get them ready like that. We're also going to have, we're going to do our own workshops with other government agencies and other businesses, NGOs that help to prepare our people. But in the interim, just get ready, be creative. Think of things that...
Get your business plans.
Get your business plans together, you know. We're working with the Tourism Development Corporation. We're going to work with the SBDC, Small Business Development Corporation. We're working, of course, with the Ministry of Tourism. We at the Ministry for Grand Bahama have developed an initiative called Empower Grand Bahama, where we will be providing grant opportunities there. We have already partnered with the new the buyers of Grand Lucayan, who have committed to assisting with some of these grant opportunities. And so my thing is, there are going to be tremendous opportunities, but you have to be creative.
Be ready.
Be ready.
All
Get
right.
the plan together.
Yeah. Figure out what you're going to do.
Yes.
Just a couple touch points. You know, we're getting close to the end of the show. You mentioned it in the last segment. Let's talk about what's slated for downtown Grand Bahama.
Okay, so downtown Grand Bahama, that happens to be in Pine Ridge. Downtown is going to come alive, finally, because when the Winn-Dixie food store and the Grand Lucayan food store closed many, many years ago, downtown was on the decline. We now have the University of the Bahamas that's moving downtown, and that right there brings all of that traffic into that area. We also have the new Solomon's food store that's going to be downtown, that's going to be opened in August. And so they are already engaged in hiring some 60 individuals. So there are job opportunities there as well. And in that entire space, you're going to have other offices that open. So all of the buildings have already been identified for various agencies that are going to be housed there. But also along with that, we're going to have events that happen downtown, because again, Grand Bahama will be the home of events and entertainment.
Just bring back Feel the Rush.
Bring
back Feel the Rush. That's
yes,
all
Feel the Rush, Just Rush.
I have is bring back
the
Feel
Grand
the Rush.
Life, all of it. And so we intend to, Grand Bahama is going to be buzzing with excitement, buzzing with events, buzzing with opportunities that our people can benefit from, vendor opportunities for those in the orange economy, because we're going to own the orange economy on Grand Bahama
Good
Island.
news. We've got to move forward.
Yes.
I know the government has on tap a new hospital that you're planning.
Yes.
Is that still on the drawing board? And how will this affect the existing Rand Memorial?
Okay, so it is absolutely still on the drawing board. I know that the Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Dr. Michael Davel, he will discuss that in the upcoming budget debate
Oh, that's
that's
soon.
scheduled
So
for
we'll be
next.
looking out for that. Okay.
It's right here. So
Yes.
it is in the new budget. And so phase one of it, we will be breaking ground pretty soon on that. And I am so excited about it. You know, that's near and dear to me. The current Rand Memorial Hospital will also be utilized, but it will be utilized for other services. But the main hospital will be actually where it was originally intended to be, where the Western Atlantic Medical School is. So in that area, you will have our new hospital along with the medical school.
Looking forward to it. The airport.
The airport.
Has been, or the lack of, there's been a lot said about the new airport.
There's been a lot said about the new airport that is so desperately needed. But there's also a lot said about the existing airport that we have committed to doing work there also, because we have to improve the conditions that our people work under, and also we have to improve what visitors see, what we see when we enter, you know, that space. And so generators have been ordered. Actually, they're on the. I'm sorry. I'm going back to receiving them when I go home tomorrow. So the generators are here. Work is going to begin on the redevelopment of the buildings that exist there now, because again we have our people working in conditions that they shouldn't be, and so it was like that from Dorian, but we are fixing it.
Finally, Grand Bahama presents a very unique situation, particularly the city of Freeport,
Yes.
because of the Port Authority.
Absolutely.
What is the position on working with the Port Authority, which really holds control of a lot of things within the city of Freeport? You know, what is this government's position on the Port Authority?
The government's position is to work in partnership with the Grand Bahama Port Authority to make things happen for Grand Bahama Island. One of the mandates of my ministry is relations with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And so really, in order to get things done, we have to work together. We're committed to that. We are going to do many things together. We are doing many things together. We just had the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce installation. That was on Saturday, I believe. And
One
the
of my
president.
co-workers is now the president.
Is that? Oh, really, James?
Yeah.
Gary?
Not the president. Sorry, still another position.
Okay. So we're right, and so that was held, and at that time, you know, I called up the president of the port. I called up the president of the chamber, because we're in this together. We have to move Grand Bahama Island together. We cannot work in silos, and we are going to collaborate on things that benefit Grand Bahama Island.
Awesome.
Yes.
Minister, I just want you to know that we are committed to coming back to Grand Bahama and doing more, to tell the story of what's happening there. You know, I tell you, I have a special place in my heart for Grand Bahama.
Yes.
But I wanted to encourage you, you know, because I know you have a tremendous job ahead of you.
Yes.
That island deserves all of this good news and more. I think the people in Grand Bahama have been waiting for so long and have been promised so much for so long. So this is certainly the glimmer of hope that they've been waiting for.
Yes.
So job well done. Keep up the good work. And we'll be here to keep you accountable
Yes,
to the
please
people,
do.
because they need you to, you know, you always got to be accountable to the people, but certainly to tell the story of Grand Bahama as this new story as it's unfolding. So best of luck, continued good work.
Thank you.
All right. And next time I see you, we'll be in Grand Bahama. Deal?
Absolutely. I won't have it any other way.
That's going to do it for us tonight. We want to thank the Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie. It certainly has been a pleasure having her with us here tonight. All the best, as I said, to you and Grand Bahama. Looking to have you back on soon. Next time we'll be there.
Yes.
Okay, be sure and join us again next week for another edition of On the Record. Until then, I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. We'll see you soon.